we're going to have a more interactive session. So obviously we've had lots of different ideas and talks and panels today. I think we've had quite a bit of time at the breaks, hopefully to network, but really the intention of this session is to give you more chance to talk to each other and also to express some of your own interests and together to think about what some of the futures of the decentralized digital economy might look like. So hopefully you've got the memo. You should be sitting at a table, and in front of you there should be a topic, one of these 6 areas. Hopefully there's no one sitting too much on the own. Tom, you look very low. Oh, you guys are moving down. Great, okay. You will have a chance to, don't feel too constrained, but it's just an effort to try and get people around the similar sort of topics. And the materials in front of you all will become clear, including the Lego. Yeah, we've got the session until around 5, and then John will give us some closing remarks. So really what we want to explore is, what do we think the next step should be? What areas have we heard about today should we be thinking about much more deeply? There's 3 aims for what we're going to do here. An opportunity for you to discuss what inspired you today. Find your people, find your tribe if you haven't already. We're really interested in opportunities to translate or apply things like provenance, self-sovereign identity in other contexts and domains that matter to you today. We heard a few of them in the questions earlier, but this is about bringing a bit more of that together and thinking about what's the kind of research innovation most needed to move these forward. So John asked me to kind of put this together in a sort of interactive session, and I thought what we would do for this is do a little bit of a kind of futures method. Some of you might have done sort of futures foresight methods before. So this approach we're going to do today is from a method called Think from the Future. It's one that, interestingly, it was developed by Stuart Candy, but this toolkit came from a partnership with the BBC. And it's really just an ideation method. Don't worry, you don't need to be a designer, you don't need to be a great artist or anything like this. The great thing about this method is it gets people just quickly to express something that they're interested in and talk about it with others. And really what we're trying to do is explore the landscape of possible futures that could exist in relation to decentralized digital technologies and digital economy and find a way to talk about them together. So I'm going to give you a very brief intro. We're going to do a little warm-up exercise that has nothing to do with DLT. We're going to practice the exercise, and then we're going to look at it. The main thing we're going to do is think about that in the context of exploring decentralized futures. And then at the end, we're going to share those, and we're going to use the poster boards at the back to share some of these ideas. And crucially, you're going to use the Lego in a wonderfully decentralized way to vote on which of these proposals are now, we're now a DAO collective, and we're going to decide which of these to fund. So very quick little bit of futures foresight stuff. The idea here is that by rapidly imagining some possible things in a particular future setting or a scenario, it helps us map out the landscape. And it's not that we're trying to design the perfect thing or the perfect solution, but we're trying to think about, well, what kind of world would a thing like this exist in? And one of the concepts that I'm going to come back to is this idea of the experiential futures ladder. And what's being communicated here is we might have different types of futures, and you could think about a future where we could think about a happy future, a sad future, we could think about a fossil fuel future, we could think about a peaceful future, all kinds of settings for a future. Scenarios, we can think about the kind of stories and narrative when they're situations, we can think about a certain context, and that could be an everyday ritual, like having a cup of coffee. But also think about the stuff. And where this method works, what helps is we all know stuff. We all think about everyday things, and lots of people in this room will have experience of more specialized technical things like trade documents and ID cards. And so we start with the stuff, and then from that we can think more broadly, what kind of world is this? And so this exercise works really simply to try and produce possible futures through combining different words and ideas. So in front of you, you see a few different sheets, but the first one is a warm-up, and it's a prompt sheet with lots of different words and adjectives, and an ideate sheet. So you're going to share the one with lots of words, so maybe share between 2. There should be enough for at least one between 2 on each table. But you should each have your own ideation sheet, okay? And don't be too intimidated. You're going to use a pen and do some drawing and writing on this one. So the way this works is that on the prompt sheet, You pick one word from the future list, so you could talk about a beautiful future, a depressing future, a grassroots future. We pick one thing, like a building, a pill, a flag, a monument, and you can see these are sort of deliberately a little bit random to kind of spur your imagination, and a theme. So here, and this is a warm-up exercise to consider all kinds of possible futures. So to give you an example, I was playing around with this when I was getting these slides together, and I chose, in a resilient future, there is a ritual related to energy. So just to go back there, the way this is structured is, in a blank future, there is a blank thing related to a blank theme, okay? So in a resilient future, there is a ritual related to energy. And the question is, what is it? So I'll give you just a moment to think, what would you write? What comes to mind? What kinds of thing? And you could describe this, or you could sketch it. What came to mind for me? I thought about a kind of emergency kits and supplies when I thought of what kind of ritual might this be. Maybe this is a housewarming gift, that in a resilient future, you would make sure that someone in a new home had a nice emergency kit, and maybe even like personalized, kind of more sort of less utilitarian, but more kind of bespoke emergency items, okay? It's a very quick idea. You can see I borrowed some of PowerPoint's art to illustrate it. I'm sure you can do better than that. And the idea is not that this is necessarily just to sort of, tear this down as an idea, but think about what kind of world does that suggest? What are the kinds of, what would have to happen? What might we can start to think about the kind of future that might exist. So it's as simple as that. Pick a word from each column that appeals to you, and then fill in the ideation sheet with these words and come up with it. So here's how it's going to work. You're first of all going to do this on your own. You're going to have to share the prompt sheet, but do it on your own. So you get 5 minutes to come up with an idea. And then you're going to spend the next 5 minutes just sharing it with the person next to you. Now, again, this is just the warm-up. What we're going to do in a minute is think about this in relation to DLT and decentralized digital economy. So you should have in front of you one of these and one ideation sheet. You've got some lovely, colourful pens. I've got more pens if anyone needs. But I'll give you 5 minutes to come up with a future based on a thing, and I'll give you 5 minutes then to sort of talk about that with the person next to you. So this is just a warm-up to get you going. Any questions? Everyone on board? The doors are locked, so you're in. Okay, right, I'll give you 5 minutes. Let's do some futuring. Okay, we'll wrap up there. Hopefully you've started just getting a feel of what it is that you're doing here. And also starting to see you're approaching it from different perspectives, different disciplines. Of course, what we're focused on today is decentralization and decentralized digital economy. So what we've done is taken that exercise, and you'll see that on the other two sheets, there is a sheet that says decentralized digital economy futures, an ideate sheet, and another prompt sheet with much fewer words on it, but words that are a bit more relevant to what we've been talking about today. And so we've got the same three columns, but the future this time is the domain. So the table you're on is the future. So in a decentralized supply chain future, in a decentralized creative industries future, in a decentralized AI future. So you can, if you really want to, still choose a different one, but you probably want to make your first word the table that you're on. And then you can see we've got a list of things, and these are the kinds of things that some of which we talked about today, but some we just might expect to exist in a future. Things like browser plugins, dashboards, registry, payment systems, file document scanners. If there's something you think of that's not there, by all means go with that. But there's a set of suggestions. And then various themes, things that this is related to. This could be things like copyright, authenticity, borders, transparency, ownership. So what we're going to do is exactly the same exercise, but this time in the context of decentralization. And ideally, thinking about what are the things today that have most stood out to you, or what's something in your work that you really want to try and relate to the sort of topics that we've had today. Same thing again. You're going to work first individually to pick which words you want to work on, pick some words and ideate, think about a thing from a decentralized future. It might be something that you've already given thought to. It could be something completely new. And then I think the numbers should be okay. Maybe on the larger tables, you might want to split the table in half, but we'll see how you go. I think we've got lots of time. So once you've finished, then just all share what your things are. And again, this is an opportunity to say a bit about why that's interesting to you. What is it that you're working on? So 5 minutes individually. When you come up with your thing, share it, and then we'll start discussing a bit more about what that means for the future. And what we're going to do is ask you next as a group to pick one or two of these things and discuss and develop them a bit further. Does that make sense? Sound okay? Okay, back over to you. And if anyone needs more sheets or pens or whatever, just give us a shout.
That's a very great thing. Algorithm on a street, so he said he's just Steve did just like back. So I not just look at tackle shit. So I did just get there read it. I said everything's still. I haven't looked at it.
So I know some of you are still sharing your ideas, and you can keep doing that in just a second. I just want to tell you where you're going next, because I know some groups are smaller than others. So hopefully you've all got at least one thing from a decentralized future. It's in a sort of similar future, and you've started to discuss those. What you need to do next is in your group to choose one or more of these ideas to combine or develop further. So you've all now got a big flip chart piece of paper. I'm going to come around with some other markers. I'm not sure they're going to work on that glossy paper. And basically, as a group now, work on one or two of these ideas, and to give it put a bit more flesh on it. Think about who would this thing matter to, what kind of problems or challenges might it address, or what might it be doing, how might it be misused? Is there anything currently it's similar or different to, and what are the values that are most kind of present in this future? And what you're going to do is sketch that thing up a bit further, and we're going to put them all on the poster boards at the back of the room. Please give your thing a name. We're going to use the name on some post-it notes for voting, and then you'll be able to share with the rest of the room, and we'll be able to vote for the best proposal for a decentralized future. Okay, so if you haven't all gone round, please continue sharing your things, but you need to just choose something to work on together and sketch it up in a bit more detail, thinking about some of these questions. Is that okay? Great.
Yeah, absolutely. That money capture the video. So that's a way more deals. Just like these films, one is it because you standing thing for it. I like.
Each group to do. Is that working? It is now. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. I'm just going to ask one person from each group to give like a 1-minute pitch of their idea. In front of us, we have the latest digital ledger technology. Also, 3 of the groups, we need to, if you haven't already, when you pitch, write your name on here. And you all had Lego on the table, but you're going to be able to, we're going to see after we've heard from each of the proposals, you can place a Lego brick on which of these proposals you would vote for in this new collective intelligence that we have. So who would like to quickly pitch? Who wants to go first? Or I'll just work this way across. Does that make sense? Someone from this group?
Do I need to press something?
I think it should be on.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Right. So I'm not really volunteering, but there is nobody else, so I'm the victim here. So we called our system micro-attribute, and it's really motivated by us wanting to fight against big tech companies getting richer and richer by using everybody's data, and especially artists, musicians, etc., really struggling to make a living from the art they create, because everybody is just using it and not attributing the credits to who they belong to. So we want to introduce a system that can do that, so that can attribute micro-level data to people, to the creators. That could be things in the creative arts, could also be news, or anything else, really. And we have 2 use cases here that we want to detail. So one being a citizen journalist creating content, maybe something that they witnessed, creating text, creating pictures, videos, etc. And the content then gets scraped and aggregated, and our system would be able to attribute that data to the original creators and give them money for it, essentially. The second use case is data being used by AI models for training themselves. And again, the creators of that data need to be rewarded somehow, maybe through micropayments. And the creators should also be able to refuse that their data is being used in that way. So there should be an opt-in, opt-out system that actually works, where it's not that if you want to use something, you must accept the terms and conditions, which always overwrite whatever was agreed before, and where nobody can actually read the 700 pages of small print that give everything away. So we really need to innovate in that sense. So vote for microattribute.
Okay, now we have wearable reputation.
So we didn't draw any pictures, and I hope that in judging us for that, you'll appreciate that we actually managed to combine all of the ideas from everyone in the group in our response. So the idea here was that in a decentralized identity future, where there is an app and wearables used around reputation. And the basic idea was that, walking around on the street, you might have smart glasses and a smart watch that are providing you information about the people around you on the street to help you make assessments of whether you can trust them or not, which sounds a lot like a Black Mirror episode, but what I'd emphasize here is that, where fiction has kind of treated these reputation systems, it always assumes that they're a rich get richer system, that, there's an exponential kind of feature to the reputation, which is a lot like money, but doesn't need to be the case of a reputation system. A reputation system could have decaying reputation over time, so just because someone's given you a thumbs up 5 years ago, that shouldn't count the same way maybe for your reputation now. Now, crucially, our group was also worried about bots, both as a risk of people farming reputation and creating bots that would give them more and more reputation, but also AI not doing what it's supposed to be doing, where it's controlling services. So the fact that this would be built on a decentralized ID scheme would mean that you could interact with services like proving your age at a cinema, and maybe those services could interact with you, like telling you if you've chosen to disclose your film preferences, telling you whether you might like the film you're going into, and then you might be able to rate the AI afterwards if you feel that it's given you bad advice, so that the bots themselves can garner reputation too. But in order to keep track of what are humans and what are bots, there was a recognition that there needs to be some kind of underlying proof of humanity that helps make sure that the two different identities are separated, and that people are always in a position where their assessments of the AI are helping to make sure that AI is under human control. I think that's probably all of the essentials. I could add in that I think the most likely proof of humanity is haircuts, because it's probably the only essentially in-person interaction that we need nowadays. So more power to the hairdressers. You've got hair, Nick. People have facial hair, you know. I suppose, yeah, it's not a good world for people with alopecia. So yeah, I think that's probably everything.
So next we have newsflash that we have the best idea ever. If someone would like to present this, I hope we're all ready.
We've called it the best idea ever because it's the most boring, fundamental blockchain idea that there is. Essentially, farmer, country X, produces apples. They are a carbon sink. They should be rewarded for being a carbon sink. They sell their apples along with ESG credentials and documents. It gets shipped and accrues carbon throughout the journey and arrives at your local market stall. And when you come along, you know the ESG rating of those apples, and you choose the ones from this domain, not that domain. Then you pay for them, and the money instantly splits, goes to the tax man, goes back through the supply chain, and a little bit goes directly here to our lovely farmer in faraway land. Done.
And then we have trade agent. Who is trade agent?
All right, this combines a couple of concepts. So we're looking at supply chain. We have some forests down here, lovely ecological assets that are being cut down, transported to sawmills, converted into wood that goes into fencing, furniture, and construction industry. So how do we ensure that there's concern for the source? We have another concept which is to do with an AI agent that has the ability to buy and sell commodities such as wood, and needs to be incentivized to make the right choices. So the agent has options. It has a supply chain of data, and the agent can choose the more accurate data. So there's an incentive when it buys commodities to choose the accurate data and rewards the data provider. So there's an incentive to get an accuracy in the reporting on the capacity of the forest to provide wood and throughout the supply chain. So it combines these two concepts. There's not just one agent, obviously, it's multiple agents and they're competing, so it is a kind of market economy of its own. And we did have an embedded Neuralink element, but we haven't added that in yet, but there was that as well.
And we have news lenses for all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we bring you News Lenses for All, the ultimate smart glasses that will overlay news with other additional and vital information which you may not have or may not be aware of, or maybe because of the news outlet you choose to look at, may not have been provided accurately or at all. So they could let you see the news through lenses of ESG, of provenance, attribution, and the level of likely misinformation or disinformation. So who's it for? It could be for any of you, but maybe particularly from people who come perhaps from a background where they're not getting a broad range of news feeds, who have not been taught to critically analyse the information they've been given. So the problem it addresses is mis or disinformation that you may have in your news feed, noise that other people have introduced. It will help support media literacy, training people to question things that they see and not take things at face value. And this is, as I said, particularly aimed at all people to help to try to address digital inequality. So how might it be used or indeed misused? We're placing an extra level of trust in the people who provide your news overlays. So where do they come from? Is that a trusted provider? Is it a commercialised company who might have a slightly different view of truth? Maybe it's the good old BBC and we can trust them. And there's a danger, of course, that you could select an echo chamber version that will give you your view that you want to hear of this news rather than the truth or the broader picture. So we thought, what is this similar to? Maybe it's similar to an impartial friend who might help talk you through news stories and say, have you thought of this, or what about that point of view? And again, you'd have to assume or hope that that is a truly impartial friend and not your echo chamber. And most importantly, what's the most valued bit of this? We think these lenses give you the opportunity and the hope that democracy will survive. Vote for us. Thank you very much.
Compelling pitch there. Human-made. Felipe.
Thank you, Chris. So here is human-made. Basically, this is a privacy-first device that we even have a prototype here. It's quantum resilient. Information is secure, stored for the individual, is connected through digital identities to the person, which is basically a provenance device that shows that the person actually created something in the real space. It uses a lot of AI technologies to connect the device with, other type of devices like smartwatches or glasses if you have them. And then it's able to prove basically that you created something, that you did something, and the use cases are, several, but some of them include, for instance, artists, also in educational settings to prove that individuals are engaging and producing outputs that are their own creation, but infinitive, like many applications. So this is a prototype. So the artwork goes to Glenn, and the prototype is from John. So thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate this. It shows the interdisciplinarity at the heart of DECaDE. This is the first time I'm discovering that Glenn has this secret talent. So I hear you'll be taking commissions later to characterize the day. So, and the last one we have Create Link 2098, or 2098, I guess.
Thank you. Best for last, as always. So what we were thinking about, right now you have two options. You can either create something from scratch, or you can have a prompt and AI plagiarizes for you. But it's not fair, because those shouldn't be the only two choices. And we thought about the fact that in the creative industries, there is a literacy gap. People are no longer connected to what human-made art is, and the fact that art is a process, and engaging in that process is engaging in creation, which is fundamentally human. So we thought about an AI that doesn't create for you. It provides you the references that you are looking for. It educates you about what you are looking for, and then it allows you a granular process in which you can take references, and you know what references you are using, and you add layer by layer to create something that you want. And it's not just image generation. It's also, it helps you to 3D print things, and you can 3D print objects, or you can work and educate yourself how to 3D print parts for things that you use. So you can even 3D print parts for something that you need for mobility. You can improve things in your own life, even if you don't have the physical dexterity to do it, even if you don't have the knowledge to begin with, because it helps you to this process without doing the process for you. So therefore, it can be used by everybody, but it is most useful to people who have these challenges. And this is why we call it the Create a Link 2098, to bridge the gap to the future. Thank you.
Okay, so there you have it. You might think Chris has just brought along Lego today as a gimmick, and that's true. I have done that. But we're going to use it to vote. So this is our ledger here. And what I'm going to ask you to do, you've all made your proposals. You're each going to get a piece of Lego. It's a very, very secure system based on this thing called human trust and accountability. And I'm going to ask you to make a vote and add it to the brick. And we'll count the bricks at the end and see who is the winner. And we'll receive an incredible sum of crypto from one of the DECaDE team in the near future. Okay, so I'm going to trust you. One brick per person. I've got more here. There's some on your tables, or there's some here. Come and cast your votes, and then we'll be handing over to John for closing remarks. No. Yeah, but I think that may take a while. So I'm gonna go back to a one brick, one vote policy. Yeah, the original idea was yeah, correct. So you want a brick, but also grab one there. Yeah, sure. The size of the brick doesn't matter. All bricks are equal. All colors are equal. Okay, has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Okay, well, we've got quite a close tie. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 6 for human-made. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the best idea ever. 1, 2, 3, 4 for Cree. 8 Link 2098. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for News Lenses for All. We've got a leader. Oh, human, yeah, Professor Parry, I see. Yeah. This is this one, okay. Right, still not enough. Wearable reputation, the Black Mirror came through. 2 for that one. 3 for micro attribute, and 3 for trade agent, though I also saw some questionable voting practices in relation to that one. So it means that the News Lenses for All should receive all future funding from the DECaDE project. Thanks, everyone. I'll hand over to John. Take your seats.
Thank you. Great. Okay. Well, gosh. Okay. So it is over to me, I suppose, for some closing remarks. Yeah. Why not? I'll do it from the floor. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Chris, Ella, and the Edinburgh team for such an engaging session. Really appreciate that. Another perhaps round of applause for Chris and team. So I think, I won't say too many closing words, but the first thing I'd like to say is, of course, a few words of thanks more generally for the event, particularly thanks to Alex, who is even still taking photos. So Alex and all of the admin team that have come along today to support Alex in delivery of this event, and of course to the Royal Society for letting us hold this event here at such a prestigious location. So it's been an absolutely huge effort, I know, that Alex and team have put into this. Actually, it's not just the event, also the orchestration of the brochure, which you, I'm sure, will take a copy away with you. So thank you so much, Alex and team, for your efforts. I want to thank everyone that's come along today, particularly those of you that have stuck in all the way to the end. There is a drinks reception opening up in a moment, so I'm sure that wasn't the whole reason you stayed. Really appreciate all of your engagement today. It's been a lot of fun, and I think we've got some really interesting ideas and pointers for the future. I want to thank our IOB members, Industrial Advisory Board members, that have been chaired. The group's been chaired by Nick, who's come along today. Tom, Naveen came along today as well. There were many other members here that have come along, not least also representation from UKRI, who of course are funding the DECaDE project. We thank them also for their support throughout the project, which has just been fantastic the whole way through, so thank you. And I think just a final thanks to everyone that's kind of contributed to the event from the research side, really. So we've had a lot of posters and demos today, obviously a lot of lightning talks, the panelists that have participated today as well. So everyone that's provided content for this event today, really appreciate the hard work. It's been a lot of preparation, I know. So just a final thank you then just to them as well for that. Thank you. So, what are the next steps? Well, obviously, in part this event was to sort of mark the end of almost 6 years of activity in the DECaDE Centre. It will come to a close from a funding perspective in the summer. The activity of DECaDE in terms of the work we've been doing around provenance, around digital supply chain, fake news, fair compensation for creatives in Gen AI, cross-border trade. All of this work remains a going concern for all of the researchers and will continue through targeted projects, some of which are already funded through, for example, BRAID, as we mentioned earlier, some of which are proposals in the making, and I hope further proposals and activities will come as a consequence of the networking done at this event. It is a bit bittersweet to run an event like this because DECaDE's been a huge part of everyone's life. As I say, the research will continue through DECaDE as an activity, as an umbrella activity around some of those projects. It was a unique time that DECaDE was funded by the UKRI. We had the Digital Economy Programme, a deeply socio-technical programme that really drove this kind of cross-disciplinary work in a way that there really isn't any programmatic funding source for at the moment in UKRI. But there is project-level funding, and as I say, targeted research questions will continue to be investigated through programmes, UKRI and other support. The input that's been provided today, we do intend to write it up as a blog post on our website and share the outcomes of the ideation we've had. So thank you very much for that input. And I hope everyone as a community will continue to stay in touch and investigate these open questions around the future of the decentralized digital economy. So thank you very much again, and look forward to some more discussions over the drinks, which I believe will now be starting. So thank you everyone for coming.